Have you been thinking of making a move from Toronto and you just haven't pulled the trigger? Well, I have got 2 past clients and wonderful people here in the studio, and we're going to talk about just that. Why did they make the move from Toronto? Right after this. Hey everybody, my name is Jared Chamberlain and I am here today and I've got 2 special guests. They moved here from Toronto to Calgary and I have got Khushbu and Vineet, and we kind of have a funny little video set up with cameras and stuff and we're all here having fun. So but we want to talk today to them to find out why did they make the move from Toronto to Calgary. And so thank you guys for coming here.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I think this is exciting. It's a new adventure for sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we were very new to Calgary.
Yeah.
We're still new to Calgary.
Yeah, I was gonna say you still are.
Yeah, we are. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. So maybe tell me a little bit, because you guys were talking before, and you guys worked with Rebecca on our team, and made a big transition, and a lot of it was during COVID, and it was for lots of different reasons. But you guys made a move from Toronto to Calgary.
Yep.
Kept jobs, changed jobs. There's so much going on. But we want to hear your story. Like, what made the appeal of Calgary so strong to literally move across the country? So what was the first thing that you guys wanted to do that made it so strong for you?
So we got married in 2020, and
which is not almost 10 years ago.
Not almost 10 years ago. And the idea was that once we do get married, we wanted to buy a house, because we do want to start a family at some point in time. We were also sure that we wanted our parents to come live with us, maybe for a couple months, maybe more, whenever they wanted to. So we knew that we needed more space.
And are they still in Toronto then?
No, they are still in India. My parents are from India, and my husband's parents are from Tanzania.
Oh, cool.
So they have not been able to visit us just yet.
Gotcha.
But whenever they do, we want them to be able to come live with us for like at least a couple months.
Yeah.
And mainly why we could not afford Toronto was the kind of house that we needed with the kind of space was just out of budget for us.
So what would that actually, like, that's a great question.
Yeah.
To get what you wanted in Toronto. So you were saying you lived downtown.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
And you
I lived midtown Toronto. So it was about 20 minutes away from downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so just so you know, everybody, just because we're from Calgary doesn't mean we all think you live in downtown Toronto. See, Khushbu did live there. So come on.
I did.
So you guys lived around there.
Yeah.
So what would it have cost you to get what you got in Calgary, even just rough numbers?
I mean, I kind of liked the neighborhood that I lived in Toronto, and it was a good neighborhood. It was nice and safe, and it was not too noisy. It was kind of quiet, which is how I like it.
Yeah.
Houses there around the size that we were looking at would have been right now I checked prices. They started around 2.5 million, going all the way up to 4 or 5. Because this was in an area called Forest Hill in Toronto. Yeah, that's where I lived. The houses were incredibly expensive.
Absolutely.
It was
so
absolutely out of the question.
For a house like that, 2.5 million, I mean, is that what kind of age, what kind of style? For us from Calgary, that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But what did it look like? What did it feel like?
First of all, it's also ridiculous for people like us.
Okay, that's right. We're all people, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's still 2.5 million for you, and it is the same for me.
Right.
But yeah, those houses were kind of old. I want to say about at least 20 years, 20 to 30 years.
So kind of like a 1980, 1990.
Yeah, these are the cheaper ones. And then there's obviously the infills that are way more expensive. They're close to like 4 million or 4.5. Yeah. So, but they were about the same size of house that we have here.
Yeah.
A little bigger.
Okay.
But they were pretty much in that same price range.
And so what size of home did you guys end up buying in Calgary?
We got a 2,700 square foot home, a single family detached home.
Okay.
And we're very happy.
In Northwest?
In the Northwest, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, welcome.
Thank you very much. We're very happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing too is because when we were talking before, you're talking about how affordability was one of the biggest things, and the space, right?
Yeah.
Because if all of a sudden you have to start, putting down mortgages or saving up for $2.5 million, and well, I guess there's options, right? You could you could go for the $2.5 million house, save up, have a lot of mortgage, or you're moving further out.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd probably have to move an hour or two.
An hour, yeah.
At
least, yeah.
Yeah.
Not even, probably more than that.
Yeah.
Much
Or
more than that.
Yeah. Okay. And so, and I think that's interesting because here you can move still 20 minutes from downtown.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, COVID's changed things and not everyone's going downtown, and it's just a reference to the core, right? But I mean, living where you guys live in the Northwest now, I mean, you can get a lot of house for under $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. That was one of the
even truly under 700 or 800 if
you
really wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even in the neighborhood that we got our house, there are other houses that are maybe 600 or 650 in that sort of price range.
Yeah.
It's just that we wanted something that was on the extreme westernmost side, overlooking a valley.
Yeah.
We wanted those things, but apart from that, like if those things are not super important to you, there are houses that are much cheaper than what we got as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit about the actual process. Like there's a lot of moving parts moving across the country.
Yeah.
And so if you were going to do it again, what would you do the same that you did? And what would you do differently in making the big change?
What we would keep the same is Rebecca.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
done.
100%.
But yeah, I'll let you answer that.
I think once we made up our mind that we wanted to move outside of Toronto, it was more deciding between Calgary, maybe Vancouver. And Vancouver was an immediate no because of the affordability. What we did afterwards was just making sure that whenever we do move, that is it impacting our jobs?
Yeah.
And do we get to keep the same job? Thankfully, both of us work in IT. So we are able to work remotely, and which is why Calgary was going to work out for us.
Yeah.
And then it was a lot of just going through listings in Calgary, trying to get an understanding of the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
But that's super difficult, especially considering the fact that we did not really have any family or friends here who we could ask for advice or get a reference.
Or them to go take a look at something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So having to do all of that. But the one thing which I think was good was I kept on reaching out to brokerages on Instagram.
Yeah.
Rebecca was obviously one of the first ones to reach out back to me. So
Actually, I think it was me.
Was that?
I think it was. I think I saw it and I was like, "Hey, let's chat." And I think then, anyways,
Yeah, and basically Rebecca gave me a call after that, and we got talking while we were still in Toronto.
Yes.
And then we started our mortgage pre-approval process while we were still in Toronto.
Yeah.
So it was pretty definite that the moment we get to Calgary is when we start looking at houses.
Yeah.
We were clear on that, so that helped us out. So I think having clarity and confidence that this is what you're gonna do and being committed to the decisions super important.
Those are some of my favorite words. Clarity, confidence, and commitment.
Yeah.
Those are good. Those are good. The 3 C's.
I married her for a reason.
Yeah. Well, you did well.
Thank you.
And that's interesting because when you're making a big change like that, one of the things that I heard from a mortgage broker recently is banks are now starting to ask more questions like, is your job able to move, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to move without that stability of income, right?
I was asked to provide that letter from my employer. And apparently employers are thinking this is a norm as well because it was immediately available and there was a template already created.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very cool. So during that process, when you were making the move and starting not making the move, but starting the process out, how were you able to start figuring out what areas you were interested when you're not here physically or have really anyone here?
That's a very good question because that was one of the challenges that we were facing when we were in Toronto. And I swear to everyone that this is not rehearsed, but your videos were some of the most helpful resources that we could find on YouTube. Yeah, because here's the thing with me. Yeah, what I like to do is whenever I'm into something, I like to YouTube the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And
me too.
Yeah, right. And get as much information as I can.
Yeah.
So that was me, and she would be lying in bed, like reading her book or doing whatever.
And you're just listening.
And I would be watching videos.
Yeah,
Larry.
Yeah. No, that's why the music, the intro music is something I've kept hearing.
You should have seen it. When I went to the intro, they're both like, oh, I've heard this music. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, so your videos helped a lot.
Cool.
Just learning about different neighborhoods. But then apart from just your videos, there were a lot of other things that I kept reading, and articles and videos that I kept watching. At the same time, you know, it can never replace physically being here and walking through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to just have one buddy of mine who lives here. And I visited him in the winter of 2020. So in December and January 2021 was when I visited Calgary. So I had the chance to sort of go around a little bit and get a feel of the place.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a feel of specific neighborhoods as such, but just in the general city. Yeah. And it was something where I definitely knew that, you know, I spoke to a lot of different people, and I knew that I wanted us to move here.
Yeah. Well, and I was saying to you guys before that over this last 2 weeks, there's been about 2 or 3 individuals that have called or texted or emailed me saying, hey, we're planning on moving from Toronto. Help us figure this out. And it's just hilarious that we're talking and this all happened. I'm just like, what is going on? It's like a migration or something. But with all of that, one of the individuals said, he's like, I'm planning on coming out for like 2 weeks and I just want to see everything. And I said, okay, that's not the best way to do it. And this is a piece of advice is it can become super overwhelming when you're coming in to a new city and you're just straight up like looking for everything. What you really need to do, and this is the biggest key, is get a car, get a rental, and just drive around and get lost. Don't use Google, just drive around and get lost. And then when you're like, I have no idea where I am, put in back to your hotel and then take you back to the hotel. Because what happens is then you can just get a feel. Just head out in certain areas. Because what's interesting is, this is another sidebar, a past client of mine years ago, she did a study, and when people come from, especially out of country, why areas that are closest to the airport are typically lower income, starter homes, all that kind of thing, is because people who are coming in from out of country are just kind of coming. They don't have a lot of assets yet, and they don't go far from where they landed.
Right.
And this is like anywhere in North America. Like if you see the airport, this is why that's
interesting.
There. And I found that really interesting, and that's why it's so important to get a car and drive. Because you wouldn't have realized, the far west, northwest, like literally, I think you guys are probably the furthest community. Because well, actually, there's one more further out that's being built, but it's outside outside of the city now, right? And so you wouldn't have noticed that if you were just Ubering around.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. It is the furthest community. In fact, I keep telling my friends that be very careful to take the exit, because if you miss it, you're on your way to Banff.
you're going to Callaway Park, and you got to turn around there. And that's like
exactly. But no, I absolutely agree with everything that you said, which is actually what Rebecca told us as well.
Cool.
Because we saw our house the first day that we were here. But she said, you know what, just take your car, because we had our friend's car at the time.
Right.
And she's like, just drive around. And she said pretty much exactly the same thing that you did. She's like, go out for a coffee, just talk to people in different neighborhoods and get a feel for the place. And that's exactly what we did. And we're happy that we did that.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So once you guys found the house, what was the whole, moving process like? I've never moved out of city. So I've lived in Calgary our whole life, born and raised, moved around the city. But I've never made this massive change. So maybe talk to me, obviously, about that situation to help someone who's thinking about that. Like, what was that process like? And what did you do, and what would you never do again? Because there's probably a story in there.
We took a bit of an extreme step, I think. So what basically happened was we sold as many things as was possible.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we would not have to pay too much on courier charges.
Because your company wasn't moving you.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
We were moving ourselves. So we would have to pay for everything. we basically slept on the floor towards the last 3 days because we sold our mattress as well.
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, we just moved the car via train. And that was the entire idea, like offload as many things as we need.
Not a bad idea.
Just keep as many clothing items that we need to move with us, and that's about it. So we got like about 5 medium-sized boxes of Home Depot shipped via Canada Post, and that was it.
Sorry. That's like, holy mother.
Yeah, we just came here with the clothes on our backs and a bit more. But it was just 5 boxes. Wow. That was literally it. The good thing is that we were lucky enough to have a friend over here who lived here who had a spare room that we could just stay in. Cool. Because we knew we wanted to buy something very soon, like in a few months after moving here.
Yeah.
So we were just going to be with him for that short period of time. But if not, I would advise people to just get a rental or something, a short-term rental. If you're thinking of buying something over here, the first step is just move here.
Totally. And I was going to say that too, because sometimes just getting here is the hardest part. So get here, find a month-to-month rental.
Exactly.
And just start figuring it out.
Yeah, it might be a bit more costly, but in the long run, it's totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, then you're going to start realizing where you do want to live and where you don't want to live.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's, you might have ideas from videos online that people put on, and it's helpful or not, right? And it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah.
But regardless, that's really cool.
Yeah, because I think the risk of getting something or, doing something in a rush and then regretting it is too high. And so you just want to mitigate that by just coming here, going into a month-to-month rental and then just taking your time and,
especially when there's no net. There's nothing to catch you.
Exactly.
Like, you're gone, right?
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So once you're here now in Calgary, what have you guys noticed? Like, what did you expect it to be like? And what is it like?
I'll let her answer this first.
Actually, you want to hear what she says,
exactly. Right? I'm curious because I've been here before, and she just trusted my word on this.
Yeah,
and she'd never been to Calgary, and she just packed her bags, and she's like, "If you say it's a good city, then we'll move there."
You married her, and then you moved her across the country.
Yeah.
She really trusts you.
She does.
That's impressive.
And for good reason.
And good for, okay. Here we go.
Yeah, no, the only times that I had been in Calgary was for a layover. Never really visited the city or seen much of the city. So when Vineet told me that I think Calgary is a good enough city for us to go to, I did my own research too. Like, okay, what does the affordability look like? What's the crime rate look like? Are neighbors happy?
How did you find that out?
And there's like Reddit. I go on Reddit way too much.
Okay.
And there's also websites that do list things like crime rate, average income by neighborhood, school ratings. Yeah. So looking at all of that, it definitely looked like a step up from Toronto.
Yeah. And a great affordability place to look is RBC. I don't know if you found that, but RBC has a really good affordability index that they've been tracking since the 80s across the country. So,
Okay.
So if you're moving away from here, don't move.
No, not gonna happen.
So what did you think Calgary would be like, and then what was it like?
I genuinely thought Calgary is gonna be like way more quiet, especially because I was coming from downtown Toronto.
Right.
So my expectation was I will not see another human being, and maybe there aren't enough malls or entertainment. But I was wrong.
Yeah.
There's obviously not as much as Toronto, but there's just enough where it doesn't feel overwhelming that you have to choose, you have to decide. There's so many restaurants to choose from. There are restaurants in Calgary which are great. So I don't really miss that.
Interesting.
Piece of Toronto.
And probably you came from something where you could walk to everything, and everything was probably within a 10-minute Uber drive or a 10-minute walk, right?
Yeah. So when I was living in downtown, my office was about an 8-minute walk.
Yeah.
The closest grocery store was right underneath my condo building.
Yeah.
Everything was within a maximum 15-minute walking distance.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a big change where in Calgary, it's best if you have a vehicle of your own.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really had the chance to like commute using public transport, but I hear that it's really good in Calgary. Yeah.
It can be. Yeah. I mean, I'm the guy that at 16, as soon as I could have a car, I had a car. So I don't like public transit. And that's just me. But Calgary is a driving city.
Yeah.
Like it really, really is. So that would be a real big change for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're working from home though too, right?
Yeah, I barely have to move out of the house.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should. Not move out, just move. Go for walks.
Move around,
just go for walks.
Which is why the backyard helps. Like
Yeah.
having a space with a backyard definitely helps.
Because you definitely didn't have that before.
Nope.
Have you ever had that?
We had like a little balcony.
Okay.
Yeah,
not a
so not
no.
enough.
So-
No.
So no.
That's a no. That's a no, everybody.
She thought I was moving her out to rural Saskatchewan or
Yeah,
something. She's like, I didn't know I'd see another human being.
That's hilarious. We're gonna put that as the caption on the thumbnail or something. Are humans even here? That's good. So how about yourself, Vinny?
I had been in Calgary for a couple of weeks here and there, a few months before moving.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a general idea of what to expect, but still having moved here and living here, it's still a different experience than what I thought it would be like.
Yeah.
It is. So especially Valley Ridge, where we live,
Yep.
is very quiet. Like at night, you can't hear anything. And that's amazing because that's perfect for me. That's exactly how I like it.
Yeah.
Some people might think that, having everything a 5 or 10 minute walk away in places like Toronto is a good thing. For me, it's a negative because that also means that literally everyone else is within
also
5 to 10 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
And I want to be left alone,
Yeah.
and I like having my own space. So just having a lot more space, a lot more house for the same amount of money or even far less money
Yeah.
was definitely a big plus. And the fact that it's a quiet neighborhood and yet not too far away from like civilization
Yeah.
is amazing. It's the
fantastic.
right balance for me.
Yeah.
If anything, I would move further out and into even a more slightly rural area. But then that would be unacceptable to Khushbu. So this is the kind of
And she
balance
wouldn't
we're
see
at right
anybody.
now. Yeah.
Then I would
Exactly.
definitely not see anybody.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I would run the risk of her getting tired of my face. And so
That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah. You have to have a good like refresh time.
Exactly.
Right? So that at least she goes out to her backyard.
Yeah.
And she can like spend time, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what have you done in Calgary since you've gotten here? Because I think that's also something when I've watched videos of other people who are like, "Oh, I'm moving to Calgary from Toronto."
Yeah.
And there's again, like you said, there are some theaters. There are malls. They're building more. Actually, right by you guys, they're going to be building is it Horizon or not Horizon? There's another big mall going out right by you.
Okay.
And it'll be a 5-minute drive. Won't be a walk, but a 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff is there. But what have you guys gone out and explored? Because you've been here for a month or two?
No,
months?
we've been here for like 4 months, I think.
4 months.
now.
Okay,
Four
so
to
since-
5 months.
Okay, so early
Yeah.
summer. So through all of that, what have you guys done? Have you gone out to Banff? Have you gone out and done stuff?
Oh, so many times.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We've
really?
gone out to Banff like so many times. We went out to Banff and Jasper 3 times now.
Yeah, I mean, because we bought our house over here, and
Okay.
so we always invite friends from Toronto to visit us
Smart.
now.
Yeah.
And so every time that people come,
You're taking them
we're
out.
taking them out to the mountains, and that's one thing that Toronto doesn't have
No.
and never will,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But just the natural beauty is out of the world.
And how do people react to that? Because I was in Toronto
Yeah.
and I go to coaching in Toronto, and with COVID you didn't, but before it was like every quarter, and I've never
Yeah.
really spent time downtown. And now I've been there 4 or 5 times, and I get I understand what it's like and what real condo living is like.
Yeah.
We don't have it here in Calgary. And I had an Uber driver drive me somewhere, and it was just to the outskirts of the city, and he's like, I've never driven this far. I've actually never been this far, and I've lived here my whole life. I'm like, are you kidding me? But that's an extreme of a person. But someone from Toronto who's all of a sudden going into the mountains, maybe for the first time, like, what do they think?
I think so. We saw our friends' reactions
Yeah.
from when we took them out, and for the most part, a lot of them. Personally, I can't believe why more people don't move here.
Right.
I don't know why. It baffles me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just disbelief at the natural beauty that we have, and just awe.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that's what she had as well.
Yeah. I still remember one of the weekends. Initially, we drove to Canmore.
Yeah.
And that was my first time. And in Toronto, I used to think, it's pretty, it's beautiful, it must be nice. but when you actually see it in person, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well, and you're so close to it.
Oh yeah.
Like it's honestly from where you guys live, you can get to one of the closest ski hills in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Have boots on in 45 minutes, right?
Yeah.
In the Kiska there, and so I don't know. Are you guys skiers? Are you gonna try skiing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love skiing, and I'm terrible at it. Yeah. But I love it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep falling.
Okay, well, we'll put you in lessons.
Yeah.
And we'll get you there.
Yeah,
we'll get you there.
Absolutely.
That's good. That's awesome. Well, we are ecstatic that you guys are here, and we're so glad that we were able to help you guys make this transition. Yeah. And I can speak on behalf of Rebecca. She's said nothing but incredible things about you guys. So thank you for trusting us in this move and allowing us to help you. And I don't know, is there anything else, warnings or praises that are worth talking about to someone who's thinking of making a similar move out of town into Calgary?
I mean, I would tell anyone that, if you're looking for but like a well-balanced, well-rounded lifestyle, Calgary is for sure one of the best places you could be. You're so close to the mountains, yet you're within the city. You have everything that you want. And the people are amazing. They're incredible. So
well, there you have it. There you have it. Big thumbs up. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was of interest to you. I know if you're watching, you stuck around for a good half an hour. So, but this is some solid information. Real people. None of this was scripted.
No,
this was just a conversation about their experiences moving from Toronto to Calgary and why they did it. And so if you're thinking the same, or if there's any questions you have for them, put them in the comments. And if they don't see it, we'll see it. We'll relay it. But feel free to comment below. Reach out to us at info@chamberlaingroup.ca, and we'd be glad to help you make a transition as well. Well, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much for having us.
And we will see you guys all on the next video. Adios.